It is quite an honor. So in case you are from any university and you want your institution to be recognized, please you can reach out to me so that I note it down and give a shout out to you. I have someone from the Uganda National Association of the Physically Disabled. So if you are a delegate or representative, please get yourself ready to be up here on the panel. Also from the Uganda Federation of Hard Hearing, you should be getting ready to come up on the panel in the next 5-8 minutes. The Uganda National Association of the Deaf, the Uganda National Association of the Blind, the Uganda Union of Persons with Disabilities, the National ICT Symposium for People with Disabilities. He's going to introduce himself. He is a founder, CEO, if I would say so. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. I want to very warmly welcome you to this symposium, the very first of its kind. My name is Mpwanga Michael. I am the founder and executive director of Rhythm of Hope Foundation Uganda, which is the major organizer of the ICT Symposium for Persons with Disabilities. I also stand here to address you in very heavy capacity. I bring you very kind and warm regards from the principal of the Uganda Institute of Information and Communications Technology, UICT, that is hosting us for this ICT symposium. He is quite engaged, but he loves you very much and sends you the very deepest and warmest regards from the Governing Council and management of UICT. I'll be very brief. The task that has been given to me is to officially declare the symposium open and also to throw some light on this necessity and justification for us to have a symposium like this. Uganda continues to champion digital transformation. However, in the course of championing digital transformation, they believe that government, academic institutions, civil society, development partners, and organizations for persons with disabilities, and also individual persons have done the very best in championing digital transformation, and for this case, digital inclusion. However, there are still gaps that still persist, either unintentionally or intentionally. Colleagues, that gives birth to this symposium. This is a multi-stakeholder platform that has persons from government, from academic institutions, universities, institutes. It also has people that are coming from organizations representing persons with disabilities. It has development partners. It has tech innovators. So that we try to discuss on deliberate ways on which we can leverage on ICT and technology to empower persons with disabilities. The belief for me is that you are gifted in your own way, you're very talented, and you're capable of doing a lot of things, including those that you only imagine and think of. Let this symposium be a beginning point for each one of us to tap into the energy and the potential that is deep within you to begin to act. While we crafted this idea to organize the symposium, there are friends that said it would be complex to get persons with disabilities and harnessing them into using ICT and technology. And I told them, no. There is special power, special energy, and a kind of commitment in the disability community that the world has not known about. And I tell you, colleagues, that you plus I, tell your neighbor, you and I have the potential and the power to advocate, to champion awareness, to make initiatives that stand, and also to transform ourselves and also impact the economy digitally. There are a number of thematic areas that we intend to cover, but most importantly is to give birth to specialized programs that train and give us the skill set that we need. Conclusively, I would like to leave a message for each of us that is seated. The Bible says that it shall be day, it shall be night, but God is going to uplift you from whatever challenges that you have. And I want to tell you that your challenges do not define you. You are not defined by the things you cannot do. What actually defines you is what you set your energy to, what you set your mind to, and what you are ready to accomplish. I'm very grateful on behalf of the team at Raising the War Foundation Uganda, on behalf of our partners. Great thanks to the National ICT Innovation Hub for hosting us. Great thanks to Uzima, Natural Mineral Water, for their support. Also great thanks to Green Horizons and the Uganda Institute of Information and Communications Technology. Let us keep this conversation going. We will follow up and see how better we impact. For you and everyone that is here, we hold you at heart in special regard, and thank you very much. I send you love and warm greetings.
I just want to be quite sure that our panelists are ready. A representative from the Uganda National Association of the Physically Disabled. Please, you can just raise up your hand so that I know who is around and who is not yet in the room. A representative from the Uganda National Association of the Physically Disabled, Mr. Apollo.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, the protocol observed, the guest presence, change makers, advocates, fellow persons with disabilities. Good afternoon, everyone. With the courtesy and an inclusive pedagogy, the names of God of Jackson. I'm a person living with a disability, working on the intersection of finance, disability inclusion, and leadership. And actually, I'm a leader serving on both national and international platforms. I'm an intercontinental youth ambassador, and I'm also a climate justice advocate. Thank you so much for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will allow me at this juncture share a brief about our theme. The theme for today is empowering persons with disabilities through ICT and emerging technologies. And I, for one, I'll be sharing on a topic, and that is from exclusion to port. How persons with disabilities are able to lead and advance the future of technology advancement in Uganda. So today is a great day in our lives as persons living with disabilities, and I appreciate the Ministry of ICT and the National Guidance, Rhythm of Hope Foundation, Green Horizons, Uzima Mineral Water, UICT Uganda Institute of ICT, and as you can all see, their banners are here. Please let's clap for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to each of you, ladies and gentlemen, that has made it here, thank you for coming. Exclusion is not accidental. It is a decision. It is a deliberate removal of people from opportunities, from mainstream, and making them invisible through social, economic, and physical barriers. But if exclusion is a decision, then inclusion is a choice. Meaning, each of us as individuals, we have a choice to make. And also the policy makers, they have a choice to make. When we exclude people, we lose their perspectives, their innovation, and their humanity. Technology is also not neutral. It either reinforces exclusion or builds bridges towards inclusion. I hope that technology that is currently being used is inclusive and is building bridges for inclusion. At times, exclusion is internal, I must say. Some individuals limit themselves due to fear, loss of esteem, and lack of exposure. I hope today the story will change for people like those. Today, I invite us to a shift from limitation to possibility, from doubt to confidence, from exclusion to participation. We are not just users of technology. We are creators, we are innovators, and we are leaders. Code. It is more of that programming. It is a language of power. And we as persons with disabilities, we have intellect, we have the resilience, we have the creativity and the determination to shape the future of technology. Now, this is not an unrealistic optimism. This is a commitment to transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, here in this room, I see programmers, I see data analysts, I see ICT specialists, I see software engineers, I see digital marketers, I see designers, I see innovators. Within us here, I see content creators and influencers. I see so much beyond what we can see with our eyes. Today is about building unshakable confidence, confidence that takes control over our lives and our future. Technology is here to stay. The question is, will we lead or shall we be left behind? The answers are with us. Each of us, we have a choice to make today. Let us seize this moment. Let us move from being consumers to developers, to become strategists and decision makers. Let us use our lives, our lived experiences to design solutions that truly work for everyone. ICT presents powerful opportunities. Economic independence, accessibility and inclusion, education and research, financial literacy, stronger communication and support networks, innovation in AI and ethical technology. But we must also confront the realities. High cost of assistive technologies, limited access to devices and internet, low digital literacy, inaccessible systems and designs, policy gaps in terms of technology, cyber insecurity and digital risks, social media bullying, and also the high cost of data. Statistics show that only a small percentage of persons with disabilities in Uganda can access laptops, smartphones, or even internet. Many lack skills needed to thrive in digital spaces. I will tell you for a fact that approximately 3.9 persons with disabilities own laptops. You can imagine, from the 12% of persons with disabilities, only 3.9 are able to own a laptop. Where are the others going to access the technology from? Only 60% of persons with disabilities are, all the 60% of persons with disabilities lack information, especially about communication and technology. They lack the skills, meaning it is the 40%, and that 40%, how much do they know about ICT? 17% to 24% of persons with disabilities own a smartphone. That is less than 50%. I do not know if we, the ones that are here, we are part of that group. Only 12% of persons with disabilities are reported to use computers. Only 15% of households with persons with disabilities have access to internet. 62 to 83% of persons with disabilities that need assistive devices and technology are unable to access them. I wanted to use an illustration of my hearing aid when it comes to the assistive devices. This is not a digital hearing aid. This is an analog hearing aid. Every day I have to massage my ear because of the difficulty that comes with it. And as you are using it, the noise makes you unable to even get the real words that someone is saying. So instead of relying on the assistive device, you end up writing or using sign language. So these accessible devices that are on the market, how are they designed? Are they for us or they are made for other people? Today is the day that we need to join with the people that make these assistive devices. And we make innovations that are really for us. When it comes to the cost, I know of the digital hearing aids, but the cost is around 3 million. How many persons with hearing impairment are able to afford that? So we need to be part of the people that code, the people that innovate, that will make innovations for ourselves and innovations that are inclusive for everyone. I encourage us to interest ourselves with research, modern courses that incorporate technology and artificial intelligence in our work. For example, I'll speak a little about artificial intelligence. It is here for us. It is not here to replace us, but it's here to make our lives better. I hope we'll embrace it and be part of the team that will code. AI is no harm. It is for us. Statistics show that only 2 of the tools of AI are maximized currently. But I can tell you the tools are so many. And we need to engage in all of the tools that are available for us to be able to be part of the team that will code. Some of us have interested ourselves in ChatGPT, Meta AI, Gemini, and others. But we need to go deep for us to utilize all the tools that are available. AI is here, and I encourage us today to learn something. Dear friends, we live in a world built on code, for those that didn't know. From the mobile phones that we have, the mobile apps, to the financial systems, to the healthcare and the education. Let us embrace technology and utilize it well. Software is the new infrastructure for modern life. It's not just the roads. And it must be used and built for everyone, not just for a few. I leave you with this call to action. Start where you are. As I tell myself, I tell all of us, start where you are. Learn what you can, use what you have, build what matters. Start now. Let us code, let us lead, let us build an inclusive digital future together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity granted once again. Today, I'm very happy to sit in front of you and also to talk to all of us. On the event, we are here for nothing else but it's a national ICT symposium for persons with disabilities. We all know what persons with disabilities are, and actually, I would like to thank the partners, this foundation, Uganda Institute of Information and Communication Technology, plus everyone who is here for this general cause. We are here to declare to the nation. We are here for declaration. We are here to tell the world that the digital transformation must be inclusive. We have seen Uganda is progressing. Uganda is making policies. Uganda has many digital policies. The digital transformation policies is moving. The broadband policy is moving. But if forbidden with this, our only question is one: are these policies inclusive? The nation is progressing. Everything is moving. But we should look at the point: is this progress inclusive? Especially to the persons with disabilities. That is why the major reason why we are here today. I'd like to bring this that inclusion in the digital space actually is a collective effort which we should undertake, all of us. I've been here, I've seen some of our friends, PWDs, trying to innovate, trying to come up with ideas, just to influence, to talk for themselves, and actually to bring out something to help fellow PWDs. And that is very paramount in the process. So, what this shows is that disability is not a problem. Actually, it is a way the world is designed for us. How is the world designed in this digital transformation? We are moving, we are seeing PWDs using screen readers, we are seeing others using braille machines, we are seeing others using the capturing devices. Even when we are here, we are seeing a captionist there. But that one is actually not just for actually visibility, but is a goal for inclusion. That is a major reason why we are here. At this specific moment, allow me thank the organizations of persons with disabilities who are in this place. Allow me also thank the non-PWDs who have joined us in this cause. Now, what I wanted to talk about today is that we want to see technology moving in our country. Technology is actually best when it brings people together. Uganda is actually saying the 230 vision to 2030. Vision 2030 is not just a goal for, it's not something else. wait for. It's talking about a principle of leaving no one behind. How are we going to achieve this when the digital world is leaving most of us behind? When we talk about when we reach the digital world, most of the PWDs are called as actually special voices. They are called the last people at last minute. They are last minute people. I've never actually seen such a gathering like this. You have people here struggling to enter the digital market, struggling to move something, but I want to assure you that this world will actually here as we have collective effort. So technology is best when it brings us together, and it's greatest when actually it attacks those who the world leaves behind. So we have to make sure that we attack it together in this digital transformation. Allow me actually speak about the issue of academics and research in this room, because most of us here are actually students, and we have a social model of disability. It's actually we have a specific capability approach. We have actually. What I want to ask is that what degree does this current ICT technologies we have? How are they actually the ecosystem? How is it helping us as PWDs? This is a research question which we need to look at, and also to help us actually bring more. We shall influence the Ministry of Gender, Ministry of ICT. Yes, they have helped us, they have made grants, budgets are moving, everything is in place, but is it actually looking at PWDs? It's a major question you have to ask them. So, as I said, that we have the SDG goals, which also look at us as PWDs. But how are they going to be achieved? When the data actually endorse, when the operating data does not include us. Data is a language of transformation. If we need to move to the next step in the digital world, data should be actually considered. Data is the language of transformation. Whenever we are moving, whether the ministry is collecting information, we are calling up the ministry to use the right tools to collect data, to collect information. The media, I think, most of us passed through the COVID-19 times. And if I am asked those with the hearing impairments, actually, they have a very good experience. Personally, I was given some chiboko just because of curfew. During that time, not because, but I used to receive the information on televisions. The information is coming, but there are no options. There is no interpreter. Actually, we have over 100 broadcasting stations in Uganda, but unfortunately, none of them, even UBC, is on 0% of captioning for these people. What are we going to do? What are we going to achieve in this digital world when it's looking like that? So what we are demanding is the government should stand with us, and with the infrastructure, to strengthen the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, through provision of trainings like the ones we are having here today, and also to strengthen the digital platforms such that they count us. We have to disaggregate this data such that it includes PWDs, economic transformation, digital transformation, such that we achieve the world which is designed for us all. So, for this cause, I call upon also the private sector actually to look at this issue, to push for us such that we achieve Vision 2030, which is actually a digital transformation to Uganda. Thank you so much.
Right now, I want to be taking in questions from the audience. Sometimes it may not just be a question, it could be a concern. And this concern will be the ground for us, for them to be able to amplify these voices in the offices that matter. So if you have a question, you can just raise up your hand and I'll get to you.
I'm a student of digital governance and transformation. But my concern is about the digital roadmap of transformation 2040 in Uganda. They have 3 objectives set out, but none of them talks about the people with disabilities, how the government is going to work with their issues, because most of them are in rural areas, and there are few of them in urban areas, which are some of them here that are present maybe out there at catered for. So what is the government to do about such issues? Thank you so much.
So my question was, it's an issue also to be easy. I would love to know the policy updates that under the Digital Vision 2040 as per IT and those are the IT equipments for helping the disability persons. And also just something to that is also like the IT culture in Uganda again. It is true that we have the inclusivity devices available, so how best can they be integrated to help the person at the lowest? Because in most cases, you find out that they require a lot of training and studying. So we are looking at a basis. I am from the village, I really need it, and to learn how to use it, to take a look at a long period of time, and from the integration of UNITA with the Ministry of ICT, through this vision 2040, the vision, it brings an embedment of integrating these IT devices to a more basic form whereby anybody could actually learn easily out of source. I would love to know the policy updates on that. Then my second question is about the 2030 vision that's by the United Nations that they wrote in through sustainability. So how this inclusivity, there is through SDG 4 and 8. 4 is quality education, then 8 is
because some of us are going to school, so how are we going to understand all those words that are coming? Actually, because if I never go to school, I'm going to understand that what is meaning this or that, because it's not my sector. I'm not understanding anything.
My name is Shimani, and I have one question from them. They have talked about policy reforms from the government, and since this is a national program for persons with disabilities, I would like to ask what ICT strategies are there to make some policy reforms from the government and other institutions to facilitate disability inclusion for persons with disabilities.
Is a lecturer at courses that is computer science department. So I'll request him to introduce himself, and he'll be part of the team that will be answering some of the questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Raymond Mugwanya from the School of Computing and Informatics Technology at Makerere University. The School of Computing is housed in the College of Computing and Information Sciences. Okay, so I'm really happy to be here. I have a special interest in inclusive design. Designing technologies that can support people who are differently abled. That's how I find myself here. Okay, so she asked me to pick up some of the questions for them because they couldn't hear some of the questions as you were saying them. So mostly, I think I'll let them do a lot of the answering for the questions, but I might chime in, where I can. Okay, but I'm really glad to be here. Nice to meet all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for being in class and for being attentive. And I'm ready to answer the questions you are asking. And I'm going to answer all of them. The first question came from a gentleman who was asking some interesting question that I talked about captioning and also talked about sign language. But there is someone there who is an illiterate, knows no sign language, big actions as we are putting them, and it's clear we've counted such people in projects trying to move them. But I want to assure you, I did not go and say what's the best when you understand yourself first. What do I mean? There is no way you can tell me that this person has grown up from, actually since up to the age you are talking about when does not communicate. There is a best way that a person uses to communicate. And that is what Adiko Council has to work on. There is something we call a modification and a reasonable adjustment. What is an adjustment? To make sure that you try your best as an advocate to make sure that that person understands something. That person has a means of a communication which he or she knows. That is what we have to try the best to find out about that person. Either through asking the parents, the friends who actually understand that person. That is the way we can bridge a gap and put some road such that that person also underpicks something actually. But unfortunately, you cannot advocate for someone who don't understand. There is no way I bring for you second language when you don't know it. That is very true. So we need to the first thing to carry out, even the government, that's why the government carries out a tri-sector collaborative framework. It engages you when it's making policies, it engages the organizations for persons with disabilities, and it comes back to itself such that it makes something which is actually very, very not ambitious and it can be achievable, depending on our needs. So that is the first part of the question I got. The second thing, someone asked me a question about those people in villages, actually up country. Let me give an example in Karamoja, how that person can access these ICT devices. The truth is that the government has tried to push, and for persons with disabilities, actually the thing becomes very tough when it comes to pushing this because of the additional things needed. But I want to assure you that Adiko Council is never an ending process. And it will never end. That is why what we are trying to push for. So, the truth is that the internet connectivity in those areas is low. But the national ICT policy has articles trying to actually push this. But the thing is on implementation. This is not something you have to handle as you. The government actually pay taxes. The government is trying, we have to push the government such that it's supposed to people in villages to access these assistive technologies because they need the mentorship, they need understanding. Those people, most of them are illiterates. They are living under the poverty line. They are in extreme poverty. So the only thing we can help them actually can try the best to push the government to actually extend services to them. Thank you so much. The final thing was the question concerning the ICT, actually the plan, actually the policies, and actually how they can navigate the digital space. They is actually asking about the transition after this. First of all, when I was presenting, I talked about something that our country, Uganda, is actually very good when it comes on paperwork. It's a very good country with the good efficacies in actually writing down, documenting, and actually it can be the best in Africa. But unfortunately, when it comes to the implementation part, the thing changes. So, what is asking we have many policies for ICT? As we have a national ICT policy, there is nothing we are doing here which is not in the national ICT policy. There is nothing we are advocating for digital inclusion which is not in the national ICT policy. Currently, our nation is actually moving under the national broadband policy. We have the national ICT policy, we have the national broadband policy, but all these policies are there. They have clauses, nothing we are actually trying to talk about inclusive ICT provision. All of them are there, no disabilities around that. But now the issue is that there is no implementation. Now, how is this SYMPOSIUM helping us is providing a platform for us to advocate. You are seeing the media there, when something reaches media, actually it takes a wider coverage. So, it's helping us create a platform. Initially, this is the first event, actually, this is the first SYMPOSIUM. So, the first one is providing a sustainability plan, a future plan, actually such that you can have this as an advocacy platform for us. So we cannot achieve everything in one month. We cannot achieve everything in 1 year as PWDs. And we cannot achieve in 5 years. But as I say, that democracy is a continuous process. This is the beginning. And I want to assure you, you are here, you have a mechanism, you have a hearing impediment, you have a vision impediment. I'm assuring you that with this continuous process, we are going to achieve what we want in the future years. Thank you so much.
That we are going to conclude on today. I can assure you that today we are doing an evaluation of the existing policies. Our voices today are here to acknowledge that has been happening, the efforts that government has put in place, and where the gaps are. We must understand that there is something that has been done. And I would love to appreciate the government for the efforts that they have taken to see that we are in this place and we have our awareness about the policies that are existing. Firstly, I want to inform us that these gadgets exist. I'll take an example of Makerere University. We have a disability center where persons with disabilities, such as students, are able to access the computers and all the assistive devices that are there to enable them be able to progress with their studies. Now, the challenges come in when some of them have no laptops or have no gadgets to continue with the studies and all the assignments that they have to continue on a personal basis, for example, at home or in their hostels. Now, today I know of companies like Outbox that give laptops on a subsidized fee for persons with disabilities. I want to encourage us that opportunities are there, and those opportunities we are here to talk about them so that we are aware of those opportunities. You heard what Nudipu said. They are doing a survey and they are collecting data to have a data set for persons with disabilities. It all starts with data. How many people do not have access to assistive devices? How many need these assistive devices? And all this, government cannot do it alone. We need the input of persons with disabilities themselves. So, one of the things I have had people ask is education being costly. Yes, it is, and when it comes to data, for example, persons with hearing impairment, we normally use videos for sign language to communicate, and the data can be so expensive. All this, I believe, government, through organizations like Nudipu, they'll be able to see how to subsidize the taxes on the data for persons with disabilities, or we see how best we can have a discussion around that. But for now, yes, the taxes are so high, and we need to find other ways, for example, through economic empowerment, for us to be able to afford currently. However, I believe we'll go on to advocate for those issues. So I'll also talk about the establishment of digital skilling fund and digital skilling communities. Currently, the communities are existing, though they are very few. Many organizations, especially non-government organizations, have come in to give a hand to government, to give skills to young people. For example, We have women in technology. We have the 10X program. We have Purpose Skills Clinic partnering with the 10X program and MasterCard Foundation, and they are giving digital skills for persons with disabilities. What I would encourage is let's avail ourselves as persons with disabilities and take up these opportunities. These opportunities are there for us, and if we sit behind, then we'll leave other people to take up these opportunities. For me, what I would love to encourage us is to use what we have currently. If you are unable to access the education or the digital skills that are from a university level, can you be able to go to the community-based skilling programs that are available? Try to reach out to leaders for persons with disabilities and see which opportunities are available and how you can utilize them. Because expensive education doesn't mean that we will not get education. There is that is expensive. However, there are also other training programs that are in place for us. So I will encourage us, please reach out for information about the training programs in the different communities. These training programs are in different districts, not only in Kampala. I'll also speak about creating national assistive technology centers. Yes, I've seen one at Makerere University and it's a disability center. However, we still lack one as a country where persons with disability are able to access these devices or the assistive technology at a subsidized fee or at a free cost. Someone can be able to maybe hire a wheelchair to use for a particular day when they are moving out, or a laptop, because laptops are expensive, I must say. And even as much as those that organizations are giving at a subsidized fee, they cannot reach everyone. I'll also speak about integrating disability inclusion in ICT modules in university programs. You'll find that universities have programs that give skills in digital and technology advancement. However, the module or how these trainings happen might not be inclusive enough for persons with disability. So we'll also continue to advocate for that. And the biggest advocacy, I must say, it is self-advocacy. We are all here gathered and we are all persons with disabilities. It starts with you as an individual. When you are in that room, when they are teaching maybe about this particular software, are you able to inform the facilitator that I'm not able to hear you well, or I am not able to see what you are saying, or I need to be assisted in such and such a way? Let us stand up for ourselves and speak up for ourselves, especially in these spaces when skilling is happening, because knowledge is power. Thank you so much. I believe I have some questions I've missed because as you were asking, I was unable to hear, but please pardon me. I hope, Doctor, you were able to get those questions. Thank you.
Also for the opportunity to be here. As I said, I lecture at Makerere University at the School of Computing, but I also lead, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Co-Design Dynamics, QO Design Dynamics. It's an IT consulting company, and we have an interest in inclusive design. So inclusive design essentially is an area or a field that is about designing technologies that can support people who are differently abled. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are part of inclusive design, but I really have a very keen interest in conceiving or ideating technology that can support persons with, who are differently abled. But I just want to comment on a few things. I think there are a lot of questions around policy. So there's a number of policy documents that have been created by the government, and you'll be talking about the Vision 2040, there's a digital transformation roadmap, and a number of other documents. But I feel like there's still a lot that needs to be done around people who are differently abled. But one of the things that I think we should do together is to review existing policy documents and see what policy gaps exist around persons who are differently abled, so that then we can increase or use that as a basis to advocate for support from the government. Okay, so when I came here, of course, I don't have on top of my head what the different statistics are, but I think we still need, there's still a lot that needs to be done by the government to support persons who are differently abled. Okay, so what I can do, or at least what I will do from here, is to review some of the policy documents, okay, especially around the areas of ICT and supporting persons with disabilities, so that we can then see what gaps are there, so that we can then create the advocacy. So for our subsequent meetings, I think that should be something we should talk about in terms of what gaps are there. Okay, so there was a question around policy, and so I think we need to try to understand the policies and see what is missing. All right, so in terms of access to technology, I think there's also a lot that can be done there. I don't think everything is perfect the way it is. There is a lot that can be done in terms of making these technologies cheaper, making them accessible, whether you're in the cities or whether people are in hard to reach places. There's a lot that can still be done in these areas. And I think what I'm going to advise is, so now, if you think about where we are now, we're in April, going to May. Okay, so the budget will be ready in July, which means that there is a lot of work that we need to do way before we even start to get into budget discussions, so that we can advocate. Okay, I've been hearing a lot of the word advocacy being mentioned, so that we can advocate for, be it if it's a tax breaks on different ICT tools for persons with disabilities, or access to the internet. So, for example, can people can we get into collaboration with the telecom company, so that everywhere there's a facility for persons who are differently abled, maybe they have access to the internet through whitelisting. Whitelisted SIM cards, is that something that can be discussed? But we need to start to have these conversations a bit early, so that we can get these things over the line. Okay, so issues around affordability, issues around the technology and it being accessible and so on. Okay, I believe there's a lot that can be done in these areas. There's a lot that needs to be done. Okay, so there's a question on training. How do we keep training aligned with the current job market? So where I sit at the university, we have 3-year cycles to make improvements to curriculum. Okay, so every 3 years, curricula is reviewed so that it speaks to the needs of the industry or the market. Okay, and when the review is happening, usually people from industry are invited. But what perhaps I've not seen during my reviews is I've not had representation from persons who are differently able. And I think these are some of the things that need to change when these reviews are happening. So if you think about a university setting, reviews happen, of course, we call people from industry so that they make sure our curricula is aligned to the needs of the industry. But I've not seen a lot of representation from persons with disabilities, and I think this is something that needs to change. And we can start to make noises about it so that that consideration happens. Okay, so that is how training keeps aligned with the current job market. Okay, so what technical skills are needed for persons who are differently abled? So you need to learn how to use artificial intelligence tools. Okay, so if there was one skill that I would advise that everybody tries to acquire is being able to use artificial intelligence tools in order to make life easy. Okay, so there are some courses that you might find online that might be free, but there are some that you might pay a little amount and then be able to access them. But it's one of those very, very important skills that we all need. Okay, so in terms of technical skills, artificial intelligence and being able to use artificial intelligence to do different things. Okay, so I think a lot of the questions I've kind of lumped them together because they are kind of the same. So I think I would like to stop there for now. Is there another question?
Okay, so the question that has been reoccurring is a question around climate change, yeah? And we also understand that people who are differently abled are affected by climate change disproportionately. So do we have technological innovations around helping them to navigate the effects of the climate impact, fairly? Because as someone who has interfaced with climate advocacy, we majorly talk about the women. So today when I was in this room and they are talking about climate change in an aspect that affects them, I just wanted to understand, since you're an innovator, do you think this is something that is workable or something that is developing actually? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Yes, absolutely. Technology is, there to enable, to provide an enabling environment for us to be able to navigate life or to make life easy. So now the question you ask is, are there technologies currently to provide support? Maybe not, but maybe also in our setting, so in our environment, maybe not. Okay, but those technologies will be there for probably in other parts of the world. But we can start to think about innovating around that area. Okay, so for me, one of the reasons I'm here is also to try and understand what the challenges are for the persons who are differently able, so that then we can start to think about what does it take to innovate in those areas in order to make life easy for persons who are differently able. So it could be in the area of climate, it could be in the area of agriculture or education or any other area where persons who are differently able to find themselves operating. Okay, so one of the reasons I'm here also is to try and understand some of those things so that we can start to innovate around those areas. But of course, in order to do that, we need to understand what the needs are, what the real needs are. Okay, so that then it makes it easy to then build the tools that can be useful for persons who are differently able. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The person, I think so far like 3 people talk about environmental defense and climate justice, so I think that's something to deeply note. And just like I said, some of our questions may not be fully answered today, but at least in the rooms that matter, in the rooms that you appear in, I appear in, we are going to be able to have these conversations, on a broader spectrum. And also the policy question, it's something that has been reoccurring. You get to realize that we have the PW Act, yeah? But there have not been regulations around it. It's something that actually I encountered yesterday in class. So the policies in Uganda, the implementation, the regulation, yes, we understand that government says it's quite expensive to frame regulations around the PW Act. But then, what does it mean for the people that we govern, for the people that we lead, if we think it's too costly to invest in a life that actually matters for them? So this next session is going to be by Dr. Naboth, but please, can we just, send a round of applause to Miss Ability, to Hudson. It has been quite an engaging discussion.
Since morning we've been talking about it, so for the thought, everybody is at store and start to put it. You get where we're coming from. So this is key. Unless we start handling issues of this nature, conferences will be very many. We'll have very many meetings in boardrooms of this nature, and nothing will change. What am I saying? Nothing good for us without us. Can you clap for that? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Naboth. I am here. Actually, many of the past presenters made my work very easy. In other words, this morning, the echoes in this building has been about how can we make life better for persons with disability using ICT. That is how I summarized it. A lot has been talked about. A lot of information has been shared here. Cries have been made. Suggestions actually put across. But the question again is, why my presence here? I come in here to add a voice, and I step on the protocols that have been established already, and drop a naked call too on what was expected from my side, so that we harmonize the whole of the day and come up with what they thought could be fundamental in ICT sector. And the area that I was given, they requested me, it was from them, that I talk about collaborative strategies for industry-ready training and inclusive employment. In other words, I share about the strategies that are pertinent to have a person with disability happy in this world that we do not apply to belong. Ladies and gentlemen, that I can assure you, this is by life experience. By the grace of God, I've been in class for the last 32 years. Studying. Yes. I've been studying for the last 32 years. I'm glad my colleague is here, much as he's from a different, I'm from Chusa. And I've been married for the last 25 years. So, even with that experience of mine, being in class for 32 years, do you know what it means? You must have accumulated some good papers, right? That's why I'm called Dr. Naboth. You get it? But the world out there, unless somebody introduces me, unless somebody introduces me as Dr. Naboth, they have a different picture. Recently, I was just in town here. I'm just walking where I was going to park at KCB. There was no parking. So I marked a little bit of a distance and I walked. Guess what? As I'm walking towards the entrance of the bank, the gentleman pulled 1,000 shillings from his pocket and gave it to me. Think about it. What came into your mind? What has come into your mind? He gave me 1,000. Just as I am. 1,000. So, ladies and gentlemen, the issue we are dealing with is not on paper. It is in people's minds. How I wish we do so much focus into that. Because if we don't do that, we are going to waste a lot of time in these great conferences. My brother was talking about advocacy. To me, even if we stop the rest and focus on that, it will impact. Even if we stopped at any other thing, even if we don't go to school, I'm sorry to say, but we deal with advocacy, we have impacted their lives. So they told me I share about collaborative strategies that can make an environment for person with disability palatable. And ladies and gentlemen around me, my brother hinted on it. You almost talked about my paper. You almost discussed my paper. Huh? I was like, what's wrong with this man? Is it because we are feeding from the same breast or what? He talked about strengthening industry education partnerships. As we are saying, for example, this is between me and you, as we are setting this curriculum, do we invite industries to tell us the areas we must teach people to, so that immediately after graduation, they go into those industries? Or we just sit with the great university boardrooms, come up with the curriculum, came up with the paper, started and fighting with the time frames. Normally, psychologically, this time, your mind is thinking about something else. And I don't want to antagonize that. Now, another strategy that I think will be key is adapt skill-first training models. Skills. I thank this government that has come up with these, skilling hubs countrywide. This is one of the ideas I've been fronting for the last 20 years. I'm sorry to say, not everybody successful will get it through education. No. You need not to have 5 degrees, the one you do, to be rich. No. Actually, Dr. Fred, we have a problem. Do you know, nowadays, the richest people are not the most educated ones? What is the problem? The richest people we have in Uganda are not the most educated ones. Whoever you find a doctor rich, it's an honorary degree. What is the problem? It means, sir, that what we are teaching is far from the realities. So we can come up with a skill-based training models that can help us as well. Let me rush further to say, also if we promote inclusive recruitment and hiring practices, this is very, very key. And I have an experience of this nature. I remember I had done my master's and they interviewed many of us. The good thing, it was done by a company called Ernst & Young. They selected something like 500. They selected 50. I was among them. They selected 10. I was among them. They selected 4. I was among them. They selected 4. I tied with the lady. So they called 2 of us. I hit her. Can you do it for me? And I was glad to be invited to pick my appointment letter. When I entered in that office, remember they are not the ones that interviewed me. When I entered in an office and the lady at the reception asked me, "Sir, we are going to check." In English meaning, how can we help you? I said, I got a call from this company that been appointed to be head of research, and said, "Oh, you are the one?" I said, "Yes." She entered inside, talked to some 2 people, they sat briefly. They came back with bad news. "We are sorry, we never knew your office would be upstairs." They came up with excuses. We would recommend that when time of this nature comes, we will call you. Yes, sorry. They gave me transport back. Think about it. Had they been the one to interview me, I doubt whether we would have gotten to that. So to avoid all that, make sure we have recruitment agencies that are non-discriminatory, that will focus specifically on the capabilities, not the life scene perspective or your personal analysis. We call it the personal perspectives. That way, we have made a difference. As I wind up towards the end, I am talking about building accessible and supportive training environments. Many of you, actually for me, I'm very proud of material. They are trying their best. You can clap for them if you don't know. And how they are doing it, they make sure they consult. There is nothing that they normally do without the dean of student calling me, "Doctor, we are going to do this. How do you advise?" So some will come up and plan an event and they put it in a hotel with no toilet with them. Is accessible. So how do you expect that? Training centers. You are going for training, but then 5 years is enough. I'll be there. Now I want to think, if we had my brother, this guy is my friend. We are together at Makere. Hello. How if he was meant to make a presentation here? Oh, my brother there. Yeah, this is my other colleague from Makere. How if they were to make a presentation here? This is where I am. What will happen? Tell me. Are we thinking? What will happen? Do you know what they will? They will carry a sack of potato in his wheelchair. And that is discriminatory in itself. Because the fact that he has that wheel, it should be rolled to the platform. Creating, training, accessible roads. As I went down, last but not the least, I can talk about strengthening public-private partnerships whereby government funds some incentives for employment-led training. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about this, some of these things actually are highlighted in our laws. One of my brother who was here, he talked about it. If we are to talk about the law, Uganda has the best law concerning persons with disability. But the problem that we've been fighting and we've been shouting about is implementation. Are you aware, for example, that if you are a person with disability, you get a job In an office that is remodeled to suit your interests, the government will refund the company the money they use to remodel that office. Do you know that? You see, you don't know. Do you know, are you aware, for example, that a person like him or I can purchase a car into Uganda and I don't pay taxes? Do you know that? You see? It is the law. Actually, I'm a beneficiary. I have one of those cars. I have that car. Registered with the number plate, and the government pays the taxes. What you pay is only 6% of the total cost. It is the law. Do we know that?
My name is Mr. Nikia Chibunde, and as you can see, I'm the really multimedia queen, Uganda Kingdom, and as well, I'm the Miss Tourism, Budu. I'm also the Mr. Land and Mr. Aside from the titles, I'm a student. I know most of you here are students. I'm a student and I'm from Changogo University. And I'm in my second year doing a bachelor's in fashion and cosmetology. And honestly, I have never been in a space like this. I feel so honored to be here. And I can tell you that the main reason why I'm here is to invite you, to call you. What am I talking about? I think most people here know about mysteries in Uganda. And a lot of people have this mindset that when someone is disabled, they are not able to join such spaces. And that is definitely not true. It is not true at all. I can say disability is not inability. Whether you're unable to hear, whether you're unable to see, or you're unable to walk, I can tell you that if you've ever been there and you feel like, I want to be a queen, I want to be a Miss Uganda, I want to be a Miss Tourism, I can tell you that you have a chance. This year we have not yet started. We are still on the first levels. For people who are coming from Uganda Kingdom, this is what I'm going to tell you. I don't know if you know the counties in Uganda, we call them Masaza. We have right now we are in Chadondo, we have Budu, we have Chapwe, we have Bonga, Mawokweta, very many. So one of you might be here and maybe next year you will be the one wearing a crown and a very beautiful sash. But maybe you're just seated and you're like, no, what will people think about me? Will they judge me? How will they think about me? Don't think about that. We are going to be there waiting for you. You just need to go to your county level. In case you don't know where you come from, if you know where the kingdom is in Mengo, just opposite, there is a place called Uganda Heritage and Tourism Board. That is the place in charge of the whole mysteries of Uganda Kingdom thing. So you can go there and register yourself. It is very easy. If you want to get more information about this, you can as well just go to TikTok, Google Chrome, YouTube, Instagram, and just search for Tour Uganda or Uganda Kingdom Mysteries. They'll give you all the information you need.
So my name is Ngamo Hassan. Those that are not able to see me, I'm sitting in a wheelchair. And my size, I'm a sugar daddy. You know sugar daddy? So that is the same. And today, I personally was told to share my story. But I thought I would share something different, something that relates to this symposium right here. And this is my focus, because we have been talking about how do we hear our voice and how do we make sure that the challenges that we're facing as when disabilities are put out there so that people may be able to see, or probably how we can be able to come up with solutions that are able to help us as people with disability. And I realized that as a disability advocate myself, I got into advocacy, like serious advocacy when I joined the university, because I used to be an advocate for a child with disability inclusion, but not like on a serious level. But when I got selected by the Educators Academy, that was by Regional Hunter when I was at university. I think it was in year 1, that was in 2018. So we go through the Educators Academy. After the Educators Academy, I started my work in advocacy around sexual reproductive health and rights. And of course, when I started in advocacy, I realized that talking about it, going for outreaches, wasn't enough. So under the Educators Academy, they had taught us something to do with social media as a tool that can be used for advocacy. And I understand that all of us here, or most of us here, do have phones, right? We have phones. Do we? Yes. How many know what you know? Mother breakfast. Sorry about that. So I started my very first Facebook channel. So on Facebook I put things to do with sexual reproductive health and rights. But then I realized that probably I needed to do more in terms of advocacy because I was getting the visibility, I was meeting different people, and that is how I started my advocacy. So I know most of you have been asking this big question: how do we get our voices out there? The starting point should be your very phone you're holding. It's just that you need to understand that probably different types of media require maybe different techniques and technologies, and that is something that you can learn. Let us give an example of something like X. You know, X is for the professors who like want to say serious things. So you know that your topic on X will probably be something to do about policy, something to do with the law and everything. Because that is where we find those people that will be talking about such stuff. And we could probably look at other social medias like maybe TikTok. And I know most of you have TikTok accounts. So TikTok is a little bit tricky, that sometimes people use it for fun. But also it gives you a wide range of tools that you can do videos, you can put pictures, you can caption and all that. So what I'm here to implore you, actually you are putting well, by influence of our system. When the Sally called what was it? That video. I was at part of those. I was at part of those. Somebody said, don't you are so, immediately when we are planning that we have technology. So, we are going to program that it might be immediately to say the rosy at the back. Naye nga twinza okutandikira basimu baffiga nebetulira ag'omungalo kubanga kyemmanyi buli muntu alina TikTok. Ekyo kyo I'm very sure someone might not have X, someone might not have Instagram, someone might not have LinkedIn. Naye at least olina TikTok. Tandikira kolayo obuvidiyo bw'obutonotono okugamba abantu ebizibu ebitamu nga gwe omuntu akwesa akagaali oba bw'obola nti ekisobera community nga kikosa abantu abaliko obulema can talk about it. That is how people get noticed. That is how we create solutions. Tulina okukozesa technology okutuyamba si buli ansoma byokka naye n'okubuulira okubuulisa eddoboozi lyaffe kubanga takubuulira abantu like those people might pretend not to see naye babiraba. So laba omuntu ali wano tokozesa social media oba sibugeregerenayo nga okunyumira kutekisinga naye tukozese okumenyera sure nti eddoboozi lyo lituuka eri abantu ab'enkizo. Ndowooza byebyo abadde bagambye okusharinga my story and I realized that it would probably be obscene. N'ekirala kyenjagala okubakuutira essaawa zino zituli mu ssaawa za AI oba artificial intelligence. Nti bwe twogera ku artificial intelligence tujja kunotisinga nti emirimu egimu gigenze gibula. Some jobs are no longer non-existent. I'm sorry if I use hard English because instead of saying Uganda does not have words that we can equate. Together to our trends, people are using artificial intelligence more. So how do you position yourself as a person with disability? Use that form to learn. To use artificial intelligence. At least that is a skill that you can have, and that is a skill you can use. In most companies these days, when they are assessing some of those skills that you have, and you tell them that, you know what, at least I have an understanding of how artificial intelligence works, or how artificial intelligence works in the field of it. Let it be finance, let it be education, it will be a product for you. So, but we don't question this. Kubanga technology yengaye akula all the time. Tuyinza obutakakinga up, but at least educate yourself on the different trends nga AI, so that you can be able to position yourself for the current marketplace. Era ogikozesa in different ways, in research, ebintu bisigera byogedde. So zagadde kubabalira budde kubanga ali mu kiseera kyammwe ky'abantu. Ndowooza byebyo. So thank you for listening to me. My name is Ngabo and I'm a program officer at Kesule Foundation. Kesule works with young people with disabilities like you and I don't know if I'm a young person that works with young people. And thank you for listening to me.
Abatetegera bulungi Luganda simanyi naye nga tujagendera amanyi abakuta state landa era nga ndi content creator ndi tiktoker nze azanyanga landlord era nga nzanyanga honorable obulamu buliwo era bukwatagana bulungi n'ebintu byenkola kubanga nze navaayo neŋŋamba naye njakola ki mu Kampala kubanga mukyalo nze nganze naddukayo bwe nakola ensobi za mirundi ebiri namala okudduka ku ssomero ate nenziruka ne waka kati bwe nadduka waka kwe kutuukira mu Kampala naye nga sirina wansobola kgenda kusaba mulimu kubanga nga buli bwentuuka bagamba bakagenda ssomero bw'ogezaako ne waka bakali mu katya bagamba bakagenda ssomero so tetujjamu ekitegeero so ebiseera ebisinga nali mbeera ku Arua Park mu kibuga wakati naye nga okusoomozebwa kwenfuna okusinga of course nali nsuulira ddala ku Arua Park naye nga bwe nvaayo ne ntuula okumpi n'enkubo oba okumpi ne street abantu balowooza ndi musabiriza naye nga ate nali sikyagala nga saagala sabiriza naye nga njagala nkola ki neekolera enyanzi nga neeriisa. So ebiseera byayita bwe bityo ne bitambula kwe kutandika ebintu bya content creation n'okubeera ku TikTok. Awo netandika okufuna obulango ng'omuntu asobola okumpita n'agamba sitatira nga jangu okubira akalango kano n'akuwa emitwalo 3. N'agamba akolera vidiyo bweziti n'akuwa emitwalo 5. Ekitegeera ekintu ekyo. So kyenjagala okubakubiriza kiri kimu kwekulesinga kintu kino kyebali kusomesaako ICT kiki ekitegeera ekintu ekyo. Mpozi era n'ekirala tobeera awo n'oswala kale toswala nti nze nfaanana bwentoba nga bw'ofaana naye beera mu bantu kubanga nze singa sibeera mu kibuga nange. Nze bwe nasomera wali ekyali kinsumbuwa nnyo kyali kimu nga bwe bantuusa essomero ne bantwala ku ssomero eddala nga abaana ku ssomero nga nakatuuka ku ssomero omwana ajjawo ati mugenze mu buleeke oli ku kisaawe naawe otuddeko ng'abaana abalala ng'omwana ayinza okujjawo ati ng'otudde awo najjawo ati nakutunuulira n'ogamba alaba ki kyekyaka bikyakukula n'okyuka n'emabega n'ogamba kankyuka emabega ndabe nzenna agende n'okyuka era n'abeerawo ppaka. Kati nze ekyo kyali kinnumiriza naye ng'ate bwe mba nga ntambuddeko omanya obutawuli bw'omu byalo busenta nga bwe ntambulawo eti nga mpita mu kasenta ng'oyinza olaba emabega abaana nga 10 myaka 10 ngenda waggulu nga n'omukulu ayinza okugoberera mukama kakyankubirira kulaki nga bw'oyimirira tebakuwa kulaba ekitegeera ekintu. So nze naawe natuuka mu kibuga nali si ky'abantu kubanga obwene nabimanyiira nga bintuukako. Basebo ne banyawo sirina bigambo bingi, ndi musanyufu nnyo okwogerako mu maaso gammwe neyanziza akakisa kemumpadde bakama bange naye nga nsigadde amannya amatuufu bampita Babalanda House. Ndi musajja musoga nvaluuka just kubanga banatuuka mu Kampala ne bampita Sitetiranda. Thank you. All right. Okay.
I'm Flavia Nambumba from the Uganda Institute of ICT, and we are here to show you what virtual reality is and how can you use it to enhance, what can you use it for to create different solutions that can benefit all of us. So UICT, what is UICT? It is a public tertiary institution, and while we are bringing to you virtual reality, it was, I think we all appreciate that there are challenges in our education system, right? Right from the delivery, the mode of delivery, the tools and infrastructure that you're supposed to use to study and learn. So the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, together with the Ministry of Education and Sports, identified these gaps, and they said, what can we do to cover some of these gaps? That's how virtual reality and augmented reality come in. We're going to unpack what that means, but for now, let's just go with the flow. So, what is virtual reality supposed to help us with? It's a storytelling tool that is supposed to help us change the way we are learning in class. Instead of being passive learners, can we be active learners in the classroom?
in an immersive and interactive session. So where we are studying theoretically, can we translate what we study theoretically to virtual reality in a way that makes sense to us? So we are getting entertained as we are learning. And how do we create these kinds of opportunities? It's between you and me, building a solution in classroom, for example, where you're studying, let's say, do we have any ears here? Yeah, so, for example, where we do an example instance of in power, electrical engineering, where you're doing transformers. How many, realistically, in a classroom, how many transformers can you have for each student to learn and practice? I think we even need to go to substations to access particular transformers. So imagine a situation where we can create those solutions virtually, and then we create one model, and millions of people are able to access these resources remotely, and you're in charge of how you're learning, you're in charge of how you're experiencing learning. So in virtual reality, the lessons, we do not call them actually lessons, we call them experiences, because you're experiencing learning, you're immersed in the lesson, you're not just watching the 2D video, you're actually part of that lesson, and you're actively participating in that lesson. So briefly, that is what I can tell you about the project. We have resources at the lab within the institution. This is our institution where we are hosting, where we are being hosted right now. Out of this place, please be interested to come to the lab. Let's find different solutions. How can we create solutions that benefit us in learning, workplaces, and where in our day-to-day lives? Thank you. So let me call up my colleague Lorna to come and introduce to us. Tell us what is virtual reality, what is augmented reality, what opportunities exist for us, and then we are going to have some demonstrations. Hopefully we'll have some volunteers to come and experience virtual reality. Then you tell us, what do you think this technology can help you in? Right. Okay, now to the fun part. We would really like to call for some volunteers to really just come here and get a feel of what it is that we are trying to articulate. And then we'll really open up the room for some more open conversations of if you've interacted with these tools before, if you haven't, and what you look forward to seeing these add to your work, to your experience, but also making life incredibly easy for persons with disabilities. Any volunteers? Lots of volunteers, great. Please come forward. Can we ask 3 at a time? So we are going to have some colleagues that are helping us out. We're going to move around some spaces, but then we can have a few up here. So we shall have some there and then some this side. So these are some of the virtual reality headsets that can enable you experience, be immersed in an environment for you to actually have an experience. So we are using them mostly in education because so many people are using them in gaming, so that they are a lot more user-friendly and then they can cure that issue of addiction. But as right now, realistically, similar to the mobile phone, we really have to find that balance of the pros and the cons of addiction to something.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I am going to request for an interpreter. So Honorable Sir, you can talk to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right?
Oh, wherever is comfortable for you. Do you want to use the podium?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Let's extend it a little bit in front.
No, it's well. I'll sign from here.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I have some other people who are watching, so I'll leave them to see what I'm saying. All protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, I salute you all. I'm very humbled to be here today. And with all due respect, I'm very happy to meet you, ladies and gentlemen, representatives from a number of organizations that are here. It's a very special time for us to come here. And we, as people with disabilities, need to be empowered. And I want to thank very much the team that has organized this symposium. Thank you very much. Can I see some of you that were here that have organized this? The organizers of this symposium, I want to thank you very much because it's a very, very important symposium for us. Okay, and who is Michael? Oh, Michael. Okay. Michael, it's a pleasure meeting you. We've been in touch. We've been talking, but we hadn't met physically. And I'm very happy that this is an opportunity for us to get to meet. But otherwise, I want to thank you very much for the communication that we've been having. And you've shared with me the details about this, and I was happy when I got the invitation. And so sorry I've come a little late. I should have come earlier. But there were so many engagements that I was having the whole of today. But I want to thank you very much for being very patient with me. And members, thank you very much for bearing with me and waiting for me to come. I thank you very much for that. For the organizers, thank you very much. We appreciate it. You can please take your seats. I understand that we need to be empowered as people with disabilities through ICT. And there are so many things, so many ways that we can be empowered. But what is very fundamental today, I think, are three main areas that we need to look at. First and foremost, training skills. Basic training is very important for us because as we digitalize what we do and as we use ICT, it will be very important for us to incorporate our day-to-day life activities with ICT. It's very important for us to have the soft skills, and we also need to use the skills that we've had to market our products online. So as people with disabilities, we need to ensure that we translate what we have been able to learn. And the very important tool that we can use right now is the internet. Because if you look at today, the world has modernized and everything has gone digital. Remember, from the time we were attacked by COVID, everything changed. The world changed, and therefore, empowerment of our people with disabilities is very important. And I'm very happy that we have done this. Because if you don't adapt to technologies, then you will be left back. The world will be developing. As the world changes, we also have to be adapting to the changes. So we have to adapt to the technologies so that we move at par with the technologies and we shouldn't be left behind in any way. I again understand that it's, of course, access to technologies are quite expensive in a way, but we need to get them. Because some of the devices are very expensive. We have the policies that we've been talking about, as I've had you talk about. We have the relevant laws in place. But as I've said, as the world is transforming, we need to also transform ourselves. We need to be creative in whatever we do to ensure that we move with the evolving technologies. Technology is again very important for us in decision making. If you look at organizations, companies, name them, in everything that they have to do, prepares them to involve people with disabilities in their decision-making processes. When you're coming up with the technology, involve people with disabilities from the start to the end. Because you cannot do something for us and yet you expect us to then be beneficiaries of them. Sometimes you might for instance, let's talk about the hearing aid. You assume that every person with hearing impairment will require a hearing aid. But what is very important for you to do before you even decide on whether the person needs a hearing aid or not is to involve the person. Let the person be involved. Take on the relevant tests. And it's from the tests that you either recommend a hearing aid or not. And you shouldn't force the technologies on the deaf people or people with disabilities. You have to get their consent. If, for instance, you're coming up with a technology for people with visual impairment, you need to involve them because you know there are different degrees of visual impairment, of visual loss. So when you're designing a technology to put in place or involving people with visual impairment through the processes as you're doing the tests and all that, and as you develop the technologies, please involve them so that by the time you come up with the relevant technologies, they are relevant for us. You know, I really like what President Kagame always tells the people. He tells us he has told the people that issues of Rwanda to Rwandese, and President also here in Uganda we had us generals saying that if issues of generals be generals. So that also means that in everything that we're going to be doing, let's involve people with disabilities in everything that will affect them. So as we talk to different stakeholders, government, CSOs, and name them, in everything that they're going to do, if there are technologies that are for people with disabilities, let them be involved from the start. Because you'll not achieve or you'll not register successes if you don't involve people with disabilities, and yet you think they're going to be the end beneficiaries. We of course know we have laws. This is the third area that I'm also looking at. We have laws in place, and as members of parliament, our role is to legislate. So we have a number of articles in most of our laws, just like the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. There's an article on ICT. So we need to ensure that that article in the Act of the Communications Act of 2005. The Communications Act of 2005 as amended. We already have very good policies that have access to people with disabilities. But as we are all saying, we all appreciate that the laws are going to be there, but implementation of these laws sometimes have to be implemented. Our representatives here have talked about the fact that the laws are in place, but they're not being implemented, and I totally agree with you. The laws are there, and we as people with disabilities and your representatives in Parliament, we pledge to work closely with you as we advocate for implementation of these laws. But we have to work together. The CSOs that are present and the members have to work with us. We cannot work alone as members of Parliament to get to our final goals. So we need to work together, we need to support each other. We ask you to support us because you are the technical people. If the laws are in place and they are passed, they have to be implemented. And you are the people that have to be implementing these laws. So it's very important that in everything that we do, we need to be together, we need to work together to ensure that our laws and policies are put in place and implemented. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, I want to thank you very much for coming, and I also want to thank the presenters that have done a great job throughout the symposium. I want to appreciate you so much, and I'm requesting you as participants, please put in place what you have studied. Whatever you have learned, go and put them in place, implement them.
It's not just going to stop here, it's going to get to the floor of Parliament. We want to see these policies implemented. Mr. Kwanga Michael, please, you can come give the vote of thanks and our official endorsement. You're most welcome. The floor is yours.
You're most welcome to the ICT Symposium for Persons with Disabilities Honorable. We are very grateful to have you in our midst. We made quite a number of invitations to persons in government, civil society, development partners, organizations for persons with disabilities, and also the ICT, the Parliamentary ICT Committee, and MPs that are representing persons with disabilities. Honorable, it is our honor and pleasure that you answered our clarion call and committed to coming at this event to share with our people in your midst. We do not take it for granted and appreciate you. Thank you very much. And I want to request that you all join me in giving him a third class hand clap to kindly thank him for coming to. Secondly, honorable, matters that pertain persons with disabilities, for example, the inclusion that we talk about, we want to recognize the fact that everybody is doing their best in their capacity. However, inclusion only stops in speeches and deliberations, and the actual implementation or action is still lacking. Honorable, our suggestion is when we speak inclusion, we should speak it from the start to the end, and even after we get to the end, we should actually better the inclusion. We must look at inclusion in academic institutions. We are very much aware that State House has the capacity to provide scholarships. Unfortunately, those are dedicated to the connected, while persons with disability, very talented, very gifted, very knowledgeable, want to get these scholarships and cannot access them. The parliamentary arm itself has the capacity to sponsor persons with disabilities through school. Unfortunately, that does not happen. There are quite a number of challenges, and I know that you are a strong advocate for persons with disabilities, and you're well acquainted with many of these challenges. Our plea is that we should enforce this further. Conclusively, honorable colleagues, like I mentioned earlier, that Honorable Sewa Robert is a newly elected member of parliament representing persons with disabilities. We congratulate you and commit to assisting you effect your mandate. Please join me to congratulate him with the fabulous hand clap. It is written in the Bible that God will come through for you when you certainly do not expect Him to come through. And that when you think the end has come for you, you never know it could be the start. Honorable Sewa Robert, and if we could have this up, has been endorsed by the African Union as the African Union candidate to the UN Committee of Experts on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Colleagues, it is such an honor, it is a pleasure, not only for Honorable Robert, but also for persons with disabilities, and most importantly, the larger picture of Uganda as a country. I kindly request you to join me in officially endorsing and committing that we are going to champion this cause together with Honorable Robert, and we are going to push it. Elections are due for June in New York, but each of us can play a role. Regardless of where we are, let us begin an online course. This is an African course. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly allow me to present to you our candidate as Africa, as Uganda, my candidate, your candidate, Uganda's candidate, Africa's candidate, to the UN Committee of Experts on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Honorable, please accept this souvenir. Please accept that souvenir to show our commitment to the cause. I kindly beg to end here And Honorable, please, if you may accept that we can have a group photo outside in front of the hub to show oneness, but it will also be a photo of opportunity for everybody here. I thank you very much. I wish you all the best and continue to pray that God grant you your heart's desires. I thank you so much.
I'll be very much because thank you. One, I want to appreciate you so much. I feel so humbled by giving me this. Thank you so much. I feel joy deep down in my heart, and it shows that I'm committed to support me, and I'm overwhelmed with joy. And my pledge is, my promise to you, that I will stand with you in all the endeavors, even at the level of parliament. And I also pledge to invite you to have a meeting in Parliament and to meet a committee on ICT so that we can dive deep into these issues. On a personal level, I'll be there for you in everything that you need concerning laws, policies. Feel free to approach me, and I will surely invite you to the committee and we have these discussions because I'm really interested in what you're doing. Also, I'll make sure that I'm fully involved in the matter of ICT from now on. Thank you so much. So we need to address this. We have a paper marker.
Okay, please, Miss Ability and Miss Ability, please come outside. Yes. Any other representative who is able to come up? I really appreciate it that you pay your signature. Okay. Thank you very much. As we are signing, we talked about the app, and I want to as well call each and every one of us that social media platforms are as well platforms of advocacy, platforms like TikTok. You know, you can use it to amplify your voices. And never know, you could reach out to your policy maker, to your community leader, and they'll get you some of the challenges that you are facing. So it's not just an app for dancing. I personally use it for civic education, and I believe you can do the same to champion the rights, advanced policy, and all that. So yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, for the people who are vendors, you can stay back just for a photo here, and then the big group photo will be taken outside. Okay. That is so beautiful.